Greetings, namaste, and welcome to our weekly webinar using the book Affirmations for Self-Healing by Swami Kriyananda ji. My name is Nayaswami Devarshi, and the topic this week will be acceptance. We'll begin with a prayer. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, friend, beloved God, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahiri Mahashaya, Swami Sri Yukteswarji, beloved Guru, Paramhansa Yogananda ji, saints of all religions, we humbly bow at thy feet. Divine Mother, we are your children. Help us to never forget that we are one with thee, one with thy bliss, one with thy love, one with thy inner freedom. Help us to grow and expand beyond this little self and to realize our divine nature. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. This week's topic from Affirmations for Self-Healing is acceptance. Swami Kriyananda ji writes about this topic. One of the most difficult lessons in life is to learn to accept things as they are. How much energy we waste in trying to wish away the inevitable. If only this hadn't happened. If only we had reached there in time. The if-onlys and might-have-beens in life keep us from dealing realistically with what is. Acceptance comes from knowing that reality lies within ourselves and that all else is a dream. Acceptance of that one reality makes everything else acceptable. Instead of learning to come to grips with 1,000 individual challenges, therefore, make the supreme effort to accept God unconditionally into your heart. Accept all that comes in life as coming from His hands. He will give you what is best for you if you live for Him alone. And let's do the affirmation together. First, loudly, then more and more quietly. Repeat after me. I accept with calm impartiality whatever comes my way. Free in my heart, I am not conditioned by any outward circumstance. I accept with calm impartiality whatever comes my way. Free in my heart, I am not conditioned by any outward circumstance. More quietly, absorbing the meaning inwardly, I accept with calm impartiality whatever comes my way. Free in my heart, I am not conditioned by any outward circumstance. Now, in a whisper, carrying the meaning deep into our subconscious, I accept with calm impartiality whatever comes my way. Free in my heart, I am not conditioned by any outward circumstance. And now mentally only, deepening the absorption within of the meaning of these words. I accept with calm impartiality whatever comes my way. Free in my heart, I am not conditioned by any outward circumstance. And now, with rising aspiration, offering these words upwards to the spiritual eye. mentally again repeating, I accept with calm impartiality whatever comes my way. Free in my heart, I am not conditioned by any outward circumstance. And mentally, let's pray together. Shine thy delusion cauterizing light into the hidden nooks of my heart's feelings, lest somewhere, without my conscious knowledge, I have not accepted thee. If ever I err, strengthen me to accept thy discipline, for in thy will alone lies the happiness I am seeking. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. These words of Swami Kriyananda ji, they're very helpful right now. There's so much in life, at all times really, that goes against what we wish how things would be. And wishing things were, that things were other than they are, is a real unhelpful attitude to have for a few reasons. One, we're always going to be unhappy when we are wishing things were otherwise. And two, and this is perhaps in some ways more important, we will never be able to respond to life's situations in the right way if we were responding with wishful thinking or hoping or wishing that things were otherwise. Because when we wish otherwise, desires, agitation of the heart is there, and we can't really respond with calm inner strength. And so acceptance doesn't just mean passively accepting things as they are. It means accepting reality without reacting emotionally, and then looking within and seeing the appropriate way to respond to a challenge or a situation that we need to improve or work on. And so acceptance begins, especially by understanding who and what we really are. We're one with the infinite, with divine bliss. When we meditate daily, we start to not just affirm that reality, but we start to tune into it. And then it becomes easier, just as almost a habit in a way, a habitual way of thinking, of going back to our center, of this true inner strength, which is more of a divine strength than a personal strength. And you'll find that if you can respond from your calm, strong center, then you respond rightly. And I'll just tell some ways of working with this that I've seen even recently. One, here's an example. We all go through this. You get an email. I get a lot of emails in my life. And there was one email recently that I had worked on a project it was a huge step, this project that I'd worked on, something that had been many, many months in the making. And it took a lot of creative energy, and it was a real breakthrough. And one person just responded with more of a nitpicking of, oh, this is wrong with it, that's wrong with it. And my heart started to react, like, oh gosh, don't they see what a great thing this is and what a breakthrough, and don't they have any graciousness or gratitude? And yes, that would perhaps for them have been a higher way of responding, but it wasn't the way that they responded. So I had to accept it. And I think we've all experienced this, where your initial reaction to reply to an email is to fire off something really quickly and hastily. And yeah, you think you're doing your best to respond in the right way, but then later you realize you just added more gasoline to the fire and things just got worse. And so what I have found, I've learned from experience not to answer these things right away until I come to that calm space within and I can look objectively. And this affirmation, with the monks, we go through these affirmations throughout the week leading up to Friday evening when we share it with everyone. And we were working on this one. And I realized that, okay, all I have to do is just accept that this is what happened. This is what the person did. To some extent, they were right in what they were pointing out. And so I just decided, okay, I have to be calm. I have to accept this person as they were coming from the highest that they could for who they are right now. And it's not directed at me personally. And even if it was, that wouldn't matter. If I could just accept this reality that this person responded in this way and accept it calmly as just a simple reality, it's neutral. Yoganandaji said circumstances, conditions are neutral. And this is how we should view all conditions. And I did. It took me a little bit of work to get to this point, but based on a lot of experience, I was able to very relatively quickly. And from that point of calm acceptance, I responded in the right way, in a way that was positive, supportive, that wasn't reactive, and that made me feel so much better after I responded, because I know from experience I've responded the other way at times. And just, you know how it feels when you fire off that email, and yeah, you're so right when you fire off that email, and you're just so justified in explaining it in just that way. And then later you think, oh God, I just really messed that up and made things worse, and I have to fix things now. And so this is where acceptance comes in. Again, I'll just say there's two advantages of it. One is that we do become more cheerful, more positive, more happy when we can see that conditions are neutral. But again, it's not passive. We do respond in the appropriate way with the right calmness, the right inner strength, especially with the right clarity of mind. Because you'll see that people who are clear-minded, it's not because necessarily, I mean, some people are just fuzzy-headed in the way they think because there's not a lot of energy going up to the brain. And we all experience this at times ourselves when we're not thinking so clearly. It's just a lack of energy. But sometimes, and I think for yogis and devotees, maybe more often, especially during these times we're in, that the reason why we don't think clearly is because the emotions and the feelings of the heart, whether it's anxiety over the future, over the health of a friend, over anything in our lives, when that anxiety comes or that slight upset comes, that's agitated feeling of the heart. And when the feelings of the heart are agitated, it clouds the mind. We don't think clearly. And so when the heart is calm, the mind is calm and starts to see much more clearly. There also has to be energy behind it, and an uplifted energy. So it's very, very helpful when a situation comes, an email comes, or a phone call comes, to try to center ourselves and just go to the center of our heart. This is how I do it. I go to the very center of my own heart. And I know from experience that when I meditate, and I have a good deep meditation, that there is a very strong, calm, very sweet and very joyful and very uplifted calmness and strength in a point and center in my heart where I experience that. And so when a situation comes up that is tempting me to reply with emotion or abruptly, I do my best to go back to that calm center of my heart. And then when I look at the situation with calm acceptance and calm understanding, I have more clarity and I'm able to respond in the right way and with the right strength sometimes. Sometimes it does take strength in a response, and we have to be strong and proactive in such cases. But if we can do it from that divine inner strength rather than from emotion and over-agitated feeling, you will find that the results are much, much better. Things do work much better. Now, this is acceptance of life and what comes of itself, let it come, as Yoganandaji would say. I want to talk also about something that's related to that, which is self-acceptance. Swami Kriyananda talked about self-acceptance a lot. It is accepting who we are, where we are at right now. And I'm just going to read a couple of things that he writes about that. He wrote a beautiful book, Secrets of Self-Acceptance. And he writes, and this is very interesting, he takes a very different approach. We do a lot of affirmations, and a lot of people do affirmations to boost their self-esteem. And he says, no, this isn't quite the right way to do it. There's a better way to do it. And he writes in this Secrets to Self-Acceptance, the way back to self-acceptance then is not to begin with affirmations of self-worth. Such affirmations can only force comparison with other people. I'm just as worthy as he is. I'm more worthy than he is. He's preventing me from developing a sense of my own worthiness. Statements like these are typical reflections of a contractive mind. The cure lies in self-forgetfulness, not in self-affirmation. And so certain types of self-affirmations really are affirming our little self in a positive way and in a good way. And for some people, maybe that's a first step if they're really negative about themselves. But what we really want to do is what Swamiji says, self-forgetfulness, which is to expand the little self into the divine self by serving others, by giving to others, by understanding others, and by accepting others. And Swamiji writes, while traveling the road back to self-acceptance, bear in mind that you, in common with every other human being, are unique. The melody you have to sing is yours alone for all eternity. The role you have to play on life's stage can be played by no one else. Your allotted task is to learn to play it to perfection. That melody, however, or that role, belongs to a more expanded selfhood than the realities you experience in your little ego. Transcend all limitation by contemplating ever-expanding vistas of reality. Ultimately, you will discover who you really are behind all the ego masks that you, in common with most human beings, wear. And so you will find that we do each have a unique song to sing, a unique role to play in our lives. There's a beautiful chant. I was just singing this last night of Yoganandaji's, I will be a gypsy. I'll sing a song that none have sung. I'll sing to the sky. I'll sing to the wind. I'll sing to my red cloud. I will sing to, then it ends with the power of Om. I will roam with this Om vibration. And so I will sing songs that none have sung. And I'll sing to the sky, I'll sing to the wind. And now we each have a unique creativity to express in a divine way, not in a personal kind of a way. And again, this comes from accepting who we are right now, where we are at, not in a little way, not on a personality level. Yes, looking at our unique quirks. Swami Kriyananda, I heard him at a talk one time, paraphrasing a famous poet. I don't think it was Shakespeare, I think it was Wordsworth or someone like that. But Swamiji said, to thine own funky self be true. And the original is to thine own self be true. And Swamiji just humorously said, to thine own funky self be true. Because he said, we are who we are. We can't be someone else. People try to be someone else. I think this is something everyone goes through in high school or as a teenager. They try to be like the other cool kids or this cool person, or they try to be someone else, and they don't accept their unique beauty and unusualness and quirkiness. And so Swamiji was saying, we have to start with ourselves and then offer that little self, that little funky self with unique features that are just simply unique. They're not good or bad, but they are unique. They are part of how God made us, I guess. And when we offer those into the divine, then we find that in a way those qualities become transmuted and a higher aspect of those qualities comes out. And that's when we can sing the unique song that we were meant to sing. And so look at yourself in this way as just a very unique child of God that is just as unique as all the others, and don't compare yourself to others. Just look at what you have to give through your own particular, unique, perhaps quirky nature, and you will find that there is a divine creativity that I think is trying to express itself through each one of us in very different ways. Now, I'm going to read some of the secrets of self-acceptance that Swamiji writes about. in this book. They're 31 secrets. It's a very short little booklet. There's 31 of these secrets that you read each day. One of them, the secret of self-acceptance is accepting others first as they are. Only then will you be able to accept yourself as you are. And this is a very deep divine truth here. When you accept others for their unique way of expressing, of being, without judgment, without trying to change them, without trying to control them, you will find that then you can accept yourself in a similar way. There's a saying of Christ, "Judge not, lest ye be judged." And you will find that those who judge others very harshly tend to judge themselves very harshly. I find this, and I've learned this over time enough, that when someone judges me harshly and gets down on me really negatively for something that was either trivial or just unnecessary, I find compassion comes up more and more, because I've learned to understand that the fact that they're judging me so harshly, they judge themselves even more harshly. And I just try to give someone like that compassion, love, kindness, to try to help them get out of that judgmental attitude, especially of themselves, because it's very difficult. We all know how difficult and how painful it is when we judge ourselves. And we just have to get beyond that. Another secret of self-acceptance is mixing with those who, in their own expansiveness, offer support to others. Shun the company of those who are cynical or insecure. And so right company is a very important part of this, of just satsang, really, in the end. Here's an important one. The secret of self-acceptance is loving others and not waiting for them first to love you. This is really important. You will find that if you can learn to love others unconditionally, this is divine love. And when we can learn to love others unconditionally, simply as a child of the infinite, as a child of God, or if that's difficult with certain people, try to tune into the divine spark within them that we all have within ourselves. That's really the same for all of us, because we are all children of the light. And if you can love that, then you will start to be able to love the unique character that God made through that person, even when they're not expressing it in the highest ways. Another, the secret of self-acceptance is forgiving others. For as we forgive, so are we ourselves forgiven by them and by life itself. By forgiving others, we acquire also the wisdom to forgive ourselves. So I think I'll just read one more. That one I discussed already. The secret of self-acceptance is being grateful for whatever tests you attract in life, for they are means by which you can grow in strength and in wisdom. And this is what Swamiji writes about in the reading, where he says that, again, accept all that comes in life as coming from his hands. He will give you what is best for you if you live for him alone. And for people who have given their lives to God, you find over time that there is a certain trust that whatever comes to us comes in a way through God, whether it comes through another person, through our karma from the past. Whatever comes to help us. It's God's hand trying to help us. And even when it seems harsh or heavy or difficult or hard, as this poet that Yoganandaji used to read a lot, this poem that was very inspiring, that Yoganandaji enjoyed very much. He rarely, hardly if ever, would read other people's poetry, but this one he did. And one line from that poem, "The Hound of Heaven," is that the shadow or the darkness is only the shadow of thy hand stretched out in blessing to me. And so when, as a child of God, we can trust that when tests come, when challenges come, God's hand is reaching out to bless us, to help us to learn a lesson, to give us what is best for us. And so this comes through experience, sometimes through difficult experience. But I've seen enough tests in my own life to learn this very important lesson, to accept what comes as coming from God. And then that attitude of receptivity also allows me to receive the grace of God and the strength of God to help me to overcome those tests. So we'll end by going through the reading again and doing the affirmation a few more times. The reading on acceptance. One of the most difficult lessons in life is to learn to accept things as they are. How much energy we waste in trying to wish away the inevitable. If only this hadn't happened. If only we had reached there in time. The if-onlys and might-have beens in life keep us from dealing realistically with what is. Acceptance comes from knowing that reality lies within ourselves and that all else is a dream. Acceptance of that one reality makes everything else acceptable. Instead of learning to come to grips with 1,000 individual challenges, therefore, make the supreme effort to accept God unconditionally into your heart. Accept all that comes in life as coming from His hands. He will give you what is best for you if you will live for Him alone. And now we'll do the affirmation again, several times, first more loudly, then more inwardly. Repeat after me. I accept with calm impartiality whatever comes my way. Free in my heart, I am not conditioned by any outward circumstance. I accept with calm impartiality whatever comes my way. Free in my heart, I am not conditioned by any outward circumstance. Now more quietly, I accept with calm impartiality whatever comes my way. Free in my heart, I am not conditioned by any outward circumstance. Now, whispering, carrying the meaning deep inside, I accept with calm impartiality whatever comes my way. Free in my heart, I am not conditioned by any outward circumstance. And now mentally deepening the absorption of the meaning of these words, I accept with calm impartiality whatever comes my way. Free in my heart, I am not conditioned by any outward circumstance. I accept with calm impartiality whatever comes my way. Free in my heart, I am not conditioned by any outward circumstance. Now mentally only, offering these words and the meaning and the feeling of these words up to the point between the eyebrows. I accept with calm impartiality whatever comes my way. Free in my heart, I am not conditioned by any outward circumstance. I accept with calm impartiality whatever comes my way. Free in my heart, I am not conditioned by any outward circumstance. And now mentally listen to this prayer. Shine thy delusion-caught rising light into the hidden nooks of my heart's feelings, lest somewhere, without my conscious knowledge, I have not accepted thee. If ever I err, strengthen me to accept thy discipline, for in thy will alone lies the happiness I am seeking. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Do try to meditate on these words, reread them during the week. You will find them very helpful, just as I have this week already. We'll see you all next week, and may the light of God and the light of acceptance fill your heart this week. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.